who gets jealous when she's not the center of attention. So let's do something with the chat. As Karen mentioned, we've enabled, hopefully, yes, the chat for everyone. And I'm going to ask you if you have any particular questions. What kind of questions came to your mind when you heard that it was possible to take a workshop, in an intro improv workshop for writers? And then you may find them answered either now or later, probably. So, and they don't have to be clever. I'm just kind of wondering what you're thinking.
I can sit down now?
Yes. You know what? We can do this verbally. Of course. Make yourself comfortable. We can do, yeah, you can type, you can shout it out.
I was curious more than anything, and I've certainly used prompts, which is not unlike improv, but I'm wondering how to carry it further than a couple of paragraphs.
Super.
I do a lot of speaking, and I wanted to be able to engage, and I engage a lot with my audience, and it just seemed to me that improv would be something useful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Other reasons that you might have come, questions you may have?
I was wondering if if I could learn how to improv, if I could be that free and open in the moment. I tried it in 4 classes once a year or so ago. But if I could master that skill, could I take it into my writing and be that free and open and not care about the outcome like I do when I tried the improv?
Yeah, you very nicely named a couple of the totally fundamental principles of improv. And yeah, the more you do it, the easier it gets, of course. And you will find that it goes into your life, into your writing, and into your life. And there are, let me see, I'm going to look at the chat. Because the way I see it, I'm a writer and an improviser, and the way I see it, there's several particular principles in particular that are so germane to writing. For one thing, let me just, oopsie. Oh, right. I don't, is it the same as free flow writing? I guess, I'm not sure. If people call things different things, so we'll see. What the heck is improv for writers exactly? I was excited because I'm literary transfigure. Yeah, okay. But let me, if I can, yes, okay. So I consider the principles of improv fairly radical, and they totally apply to anybody who's trying to do anything creative. One of the most radical is, well, there's a lot. One of the most radical is that there's no bad ideas. There's only ideas that aren't followed up, or there's ideas that block or contradict other ideas. When that kind of really gets through our thick skulls, yeah, stuff gets a lot easier. Specifically for fiction writers, I think the application is incredibly obvious, because everything that well, improvisers are constantly just telling stories in scenes, in stories per se. There's 100 different kinds of improv stories. So that becomes very facile, and you develop a way, a few skills in tandem. Particularly, one is you get a really good sense of narrative for what needs to come next, and very often it's not necessarily clever, but it does flow from what came before. You get a very good sense from doing it again and again of what will forward the action, and make a satisfying beginning, a middle, and a satisfying end, in terms of stories. But also, the other thing is that you also learn to stop judging so much, because you can't improvise if you're always standing there going, okay, it's my turn to say a word. Totality. No, that's stupid. It's too long. Somebody just said total. And they just got the word that I wanted. No, okay, I'll say toenail. No, that's really silly. That's a terrible image. If you're standing there doing that to yourself in improv, it absolutely doesn't work. Conversely, doing improv will help you not do that. So when you stop doing that to yourself, it helps with your writing. Particularly, I think, the rough draft. I'm sure everybody here has heard the advice to do a shitty rough draft, right? And just do it quickly, get it out, get it on paper. That's all about improv. And the free writes sometimes that we do, they're fast, so that we outrun what I call our inner nag, inner critic, inner whatever, our inner nag. So improv is all about shushing the inner nag. Improv is all about shushing the inner nag, accepting whatever idea is there and building on it, and accepting that our ideas are good. In fact, I like to think that I like to think that in improv, when it's taught well, you kind of learn to accept yourself and others with the assumption that you're smart and right, as opposed to the way a lot of us go through our typical lives thinking either we or everybody else or both is stupid and wrong. Right? Judging that that's a stupid idea, that person is so out of line, is so out of touch. Blah, blah, blah. In improv, it works when you assume you are right. Whatever you say is right, and whatever they say is right, and you're going to accept that and build on it, and they will do the same for you, and before you know it, you have an amazing scene. So that's why. Does that make sense about why improv and writing? I actually looked for, well, I think free writing with prompts comes close with the understanding of the principles that your ideas are good, just keep going, don't listen to the nag, and just keep building. So, question. Yes. Oh, Antoinette, did you have a question?
You're muted.
Okay, I found it.
Hi.
Sorry. Yes, I was wondering, I've done a lot of acting improv over 20 years, but as a solo at home writer, without finding somebody who wanted to improv with me to do writing, I was wondering about some ways to do it. The only thing I came up with once was when Hamilton very first came out several years ago. I listened to the soundtrack, and then I decided I wasn't sure where my first draft, I was writing fiction at the time, and where it was going to go. So I decided to walk around the backyard like I was Miranda, and just start rapping the thing to the same kind of tune and beat that he did with the Hamilton thing, why does a bastard son, I got a whole story out. I got a whole premise of a story out, doing it that way, just letting it come out in a rap and finding a rhyme, and found some really clever things. But that's the only thing I've ever done on my own as far as improv towards writing, other than prompts. So I'm wondering if you don't have a partner to improv with.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful story. That's a wonderful example. Good for you. In fact, even before you said that, I was just about to say try rhyming.
Yeah.
But I would, any kind of improv challenge, and just answer it or you can be two people. Well, that sure is a nice hat there. Why, yes, I made it myself. Do you want, you can certainly try that. But I think any kind of challenge that could be rhyming, it could be starting each line with the next letter of the alphabet.
Mm-hmm. Well, the old improv games.
Some formal constriction like haiku.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of thing to get you,
Yeah.
And what's cool, even about regular.
I've done haiku too. Yeah, that was the other thing. Mm-hmm.
I and many others find that any kind of free writing where we practice all of these things, releasing inner nag and so forth, and it sets you up for a whole better day of writing anyway, whether or not what you're writing about is what you're going to be writing about.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So, yeah, of course. Any other questions that I might be able to best tackle now or not? Okay. Okay, so in terms of principles, we're going to look at some of the basic principles and play with them. One is this idea of an offer, the idea that that every story and scene is based on ideas, duh, and we call those ideas offers because they're all something that somebody can accept and grow from. So let's say the first person is A, the second person is B, and that's the basic idea. A makes an offer, B accepts and adds to it, A accepts that and adds to it, and so forth. In real life, or in a beginning class, for people who haven't done or seen a lot of improv, there's something that's very predictable that happens. So Antoinette, would you block my offer, please?
There we go.
Wow, Mrs. Smith, those chickens sure are growing good.
I'm sorry, what did you say to me do what to your offer?
Block it.
Block it?
Yeah. Okay,
stop.
make me an offer. Make me an offer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to make an offer now? I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, okay. I will trade you 10 Rolling Stone records for 5 Beatle albums.
What? I don't even have records.
Buy some.
So that kind of thing is a block. Thank you. And then ask me something very simple, or make a very simple offer.
I would like to purchase some eggs from your plucky chickens.
Wow, you are lucky. We have plucky chickens, and you win the prize for being our 100th customer. You have a special egg. We're not sure what's inside it, but it's yours. So obviously it doesn't have to be anything. But if I were to say to her, what? I don't have chickens. Those are just stones. That's a block. Anything else? Why, thank you for coming to purchase my plucky eggs. These ones are the last that are left. They're green, but hopefully they'll be okay. Well, as long as you're not blocking the offer, you're accepting and adding to it, it can go someplace.
I love green eggs and ham.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I have some ham too. Let's. Usually in very beginning classes, it's very interesting. It's 95% sure that we say no to each other. And then we start noticing how often we say no to each other outside of class. For instance, let's anybody answer this. Let's go to the park. Do you want to go to the park?
Yeah, let's go. Can we bring our dogs?
Absolutely. They have a new dog run. So now a normal person being in a normal state of mind is very likely to say, and starting to improvise and under the anxiety of a class is very, very likely not to do the excellent acceptance and adding that Janine did, but instead to say, oh, I don't know, it's kind of hot. And then person A says, and it's sort of, yeah, it's sort of, it gets a smile for a moment, but then where do you go? Person A tries again. Well, we could go to the candle factory. Oh, don't you? Nah, that's stupid. Only kids go there. Well, would you like to go to the, and then you can see the enthusiasm kind of, right? In fact, another relevance, I think, for writers and anybody who works is the so-called brainstorming session that we see very commonly in offices. Remember, have people been involved in brainstorming meetings a lot at work? Yeah. How do they tend to go? Somebody says something, well, we could for our 40th anniversary, we could make ice sculptures. And somebody else says, no, that's, we did it last year, it didn't work. And somebody else says, we could hire a band. And they say, no. Every idea is shot down until, lo and behold, nobody has any ideas. And we look like a remarkably uncreative group, a totally dull group, but it's because that's the way we're reacting to each other. In fact, at the danger of talking too much, my wonderful improv guru, Keith Johnstone, used to always say, people say, oh, well, you have to be really talented to improvise. And he would say, nah, doesn't take talent to be creative. It takes talent and training to be dull. Because as a little kid, you have all these, a lot of you have seen little kids. We have all these creative impulses all the time. They're not all always pro-social and the parents don't always appreciate them, but they're coming out all the time. And socialization and education is, for some of us, a long, dreary path of getting normalized and kind of dulling down. So improv reverses that to a large degree. In fact, I just saw a URL, which I'll share with you if you want, an actual study supported by NASA actually showing how creativity in kids diminishes from what they call genius level, but I think it's just very creative, from 90% in 5-year-olds to 60%. Did you see that? In 10-year-olds to 12% and 31-year-olds to 2% in, yeah. And improv does kind of reverse that to a large extent. So, let's see. Okay. Let's just make an answer of a bunch of offers. Since I had been told that we wouldn't be able to see each other, so I had designed this slightly differently, mostly through chat. But how about if, say, okay, I'm going to make an offer, and then people just holler out, don't worry about building a story, although it might, but yell out different ways that offer might be answered in an acceptance. So let's learn to cut our own hair.
I have lots of scissors.
What's
another
acceptance? Yes, great.
Sure, why don't I start by practicing with yours?
I tried that once. First and last time.
Okay. Tell us why it was a great experience, or what was.
It taught me to never do it again.
Oh, okay. That's an acceptance. and an acceptance that builds on something, somebody else, anything.
I cut my dog's hair.
Another offer, another offer. Look, I got a whole bunch of new oil paints.
We can paint our hair.
Great. And?
We can paint portraits of our new haircuts.
Great. And?
Perfect, because I hate acrylics.
Great. And?
Let's do it live on Facebook.
Great. And?
Do you have drop cloths and turpentine?
Great. So everyone there's an unlimited number of ways to accept. They're all right. They're all smart. They're all good. And they will all then, that next comeback, or next segment of the story, they'll all lead to building that. Yeah, I think everybody gets this really well. It's a pleasure. So let's do a tried and true, long-standing game called, sort of game called Yes and. So it's basically that everybody, since it looks like we're kind of a self-contained group, and we can hear and see each other. Yeah, let's just build on something. So after someone will make an offer, and after that, everyone will, one at a time, the next person will say yes, yes, very enthusiastically, yes, and we can la la la. So we're building a story sort of into the future. Okay, so one of the things that we can do verbally that doesn't need a lot. It doesn't need a lot of physicalizing because that's really hard to do right now. So, let's get a pony.
Yes, and let's all go jumping fences.
And
Yes, let me go find my grandson.
And I've got some apples and carrots we can feed them.
Great. Don't
Yes,
forget.
and I'll braid his mane.
Yes, and after we find your grandson, we can find out where your jewelry box went.
I think it was the dog, not
Yes,
him.
and? Yes,
Yes, and I think it was the dog, not him.
Yes, and I've got 2 dogs that showed up with some shiny things.
Yes, and they weren't in his mouth. They were coming out the other end.
Yes, and
Yes,
I
and
have some crows.
yes, and go ahead.
Well, yeah, if you want to make lunch, I was getting ready to do that next. I don't know.
I didn't hear that.
I was just going to say yes, and we were very popular at the dog park. Okay, scene, terrific, terrific. Thank you. What did you notice? Again, this doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be anything. We're just fooling around here.
You know what I noticed
What did you notice?
was that when people said yes, they smiled.
Oh, interesting.
It was interesting to me to see that. Yeah.
Thank you for that observation. Any other
Yeah,
observations? Yeah.
Everybody that answered was enthusiastic.
Tends to do that. Yeah.
And no matter how absurd the answer, we were able to follow up on it.
And it evolved from starting with ponies to dogs pooping out jewelry and leaving it at the dog park.
Happens.
Yeah.
Cool. Terrific. Let's do another one, and we can in this time, think, just be mindful of, well, actually, one of the things that was great about that is that none of the ideas got lost. Because sometimes the first idea kind of gets lost and we go down these rabbit holes, and all of a sudden we've completely forgot about the horse. Which perhaps we did, but ideally, an improviser is like somebody walking backwards. You see, you're not thinking of where you're going. That's key. I think that's clear by now, but you are looking at where you've been, so that you keep all of those ideas, and you add to them, but you keep them all in the story and in the scene. Otherwise, well, doesn't matter what otherwise, but that it works when that happens. So anybody, let's something, anything, and try to stay as close as you can to that original idea as you build on it, right? Rather than veering off. Not to make you self-conscious. Anyway, anybody,
let's go swimming.
Yes, and we can show off our brand new swimsuits.
Yes,
and we can cut each other's hair.
Cooler.
Yes, and we're gonna look so great.
Yes, the rest of you will look great. I don't know about myself.
Yes, especially you.
Yes, and we all want to look like you. So if you could teach us how you become you.
Get old. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Just beauty comes with age.
Yes, and I brought makeup kits for all of us to do a makeover to look like you.
And I've got a bolt, yes, and I've got a bolt of fabric in that beautiful turquoise color, and we'll all make wraps.
There you go.
And yes, and then we'll have a fashion and makeup parade by the poolside.
Yes, and I'll bring my pony.
Okay, and when a completely different idea is introduced, that's often the end, for better or worse, and this time for better. Thank you. Thoughts? Any observations? What did you notice? Easy, hard?
I liked how we all rallied around our friend in the blue shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Easy? Not easy? Pretty easy? Yeah.
I think that starting with yes forces us to be positive, even though maybe the first impulse isn't.
Yeah, the first.
Like for me, the first impulse was self-deprecating, and.
Right. So yeah, we try to. That's something to notice, and yeah, and maybe experiment with flipping that around. Yes, and I'm going to be the most beautiful swimmer there, as opposed to the normal, yeah, except I won't look so good. You know, that's very sort of normal, and flipping that around is, it's very productive, and it's funny. It's very funny. One of the examples that Keith used to give was, oh gosh, this dates me. It was some movie where, anyway, famous movie star gets arrested. It was a comedy. He gets arrested. He winds up ignominiously in a police car. And instead of getting in and grumbling, which you expect him to do, I can't believe you, I'm going to get you. Instead, he looks around and he says, wow, this is the nicest, cleanest police car I've ever been in. And it's hysterical because it's very positive, and it's so not what you're expecting. It's really, yeah, brilliant comedy. And it's really easy to, after you just flip that around. And I think comedy and creativity are very closely linked, which is why a lot of improv shows, of course, are funny. Not always, but okay. Wow. Oh, okay. Here we go. So let's go on and tell some stories. We'll start. Well, How about if we type out in the chat box a bunch of locations. First thing that comes to your head, and by location I mean non-geographical, like not Sweden, but someplace that's indoor or outdoor, swimming pool, gym, whatever. Let's pretend that we can actually access these places right now because it's too depressing. Right, exactly. Some indoor kitchen, exactly. Thank you. Oh boy, great. Okay. MoMA, oh, hardware store, yoga studio, kitchen. Yes, the garden, the bathroom. You know, the bathroom it's a very popular place. And at every improv show, somebody wants to go to the bathroom. And we've been there a lot. So we tend not to start there, but we can, particularly by taking an elegant bath or something. Right, okay, cool. How about some, fantastic. How about some objects? Ordinary, not ordinary, well, probably ordinary. Goblet. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yay. Okay, and thirdly, how about some occupations? Ordinary, not ordinary, but ordinary is great. Of course, we have to have a horse theme here. Yes. Trash, pick up, dog. We have to have a dog come back. Yeah. Tyrant. Oh. Necromancer. Pilot, philosopher. Okay. Now, I'm going to see if I can. Fantastic. Has everybody contributed at least one? Yeah. If not, please do. It's a great. I'm gonna go back and kitchen yoga studio. Okay, I am going to pick from this fairly randomly 5 words. There'll be a person, a place, and a few things, and you don't have to count or keep track of them. I don't know what this is called. I learned it from somebody who was in Toronto theater sports a million years ago, and but it tends to work. And the way this works is normally we do this in twos with actual cards with stuff written on them, which I actually brought down. But since we can see each other, in twos, I'm going to be the prompter, and everybody can do a solo story from sort of random words. So I'm going to prompt you with one word at a time, and you get to write. You get to write one story. It's not like one story per word. No, it's one story in which all of these words will be featured as they come round. And everybody's story will be very, very different. Bear in mind not to cancel your own ideas. Your idea, whatever you start with is good. Just keep going. Look backwards, don't lose anything. And you'll know that it's time to wrap up when the first word, I say the first word again. So this is totally experimental. We've never done it like this before, and let's see how this works. I'm not sure how much time you're going to need, so we'll normally we do it at about 10 seconds per word, but that's verbal. So writing, maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe. Or tell me if, I'd say aim for like 3 sentences, get down maybe 2 or 3 sentences. And if you haven't, and I say something, just say, please wait. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so we're gonna start here with, okay, we're gonna start with wise woman. And just start, once upon a time there was a wise woman, or accept that offer and build on it, wise woman. Garden. Paperclip. Keychain. Dog whistle. And wise woman. And find an ending if you haven't. Okay. Okay. How was that? Do you feel like you've got a story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
Who would, let's hear from some of them. Let's hear some of them, that is. Volunteers.
Go.
Great.
I'll go and get mine over with because my dog's starting to whine.
Oh.
That's okay. Okay. Once upon a time, there was a wise woman who knew how to grow the biggest vegetables in the garden that won the county fair every year. She grew the vegetables by placing paper clips into the ground infused with special Miracle Grow paper attached to it. Then she joined all of the papers by a keychain, and the Miracle Grow flowed from row to row. When she heard the dog whistle, she knew to put a cover over her garden so no one knew how she pulled off such a feat. They were none the wiser for it, and so she was a wise woman after all.
Oh, yay! We can do the deaf thing. Yay! Lovely. Notice how she actually used each object. She didn't just kind of sort of mention it and then brush it off. Lovely, lovely. Anybody else? Yes.
Once upon a time, there was a wise woman who set out on a journey to find a wise young girl she could train to be her disciple. She believed strongly in careful cultivation of knowledge, like she did with her garden. Oops, something jumped up. As she set out, she paper-clipped a list of characteristics she was looking for to her keychain so she wouldn't lose it. She hadn't gone far before she heard a beautiful melodious dog whistle coming from the north. She followed the sound of that dog whistle and found her wise girl that she would raise to become a wise woman.
Great.
Excellent.
Excellent. Lovely. Gosh. Somebody else, please? Those are tough to follow, admittedly. They're very polished.
I'll go so I can get this over with, this torture.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, no.
Okay. I've been told many times that I'm a wise woman, although I'm not sure that's an accurate description. I certainly don't feel wise. The other day, while sitting in my garden, I was thinking about that. What does a wise woman mean? Why woman and not just wise person? My ruminations were suddenly interrupted when I was hit in the head with a paper clip. I stood to see where it came from when I noticed a keychain on the patio. I bent over to pick it up when my dog Max came running up with a whistle in his mouth. I tried to take it from him and he jumped back, then turned and ran away. Now, if I were truly a wise woman, I'd know what all this nonsense means. But 2 days later, I still don't have a clue.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Sweet. And somebody who this makes nervous. And I understand because these are all excellent. But so, yeah.
I'll go.
Thank you.
The wise woman told me to let things come to me. I paused in my journal to contemplate how. While I sat there in the garden, I pondered that thought to myself. Suddenly, my husband came rushing outside and I stuck a paperclip in my journal to hold the page. He shook the keychain hurriedly and said, "I have to make a quick run to the store." "For what?" I asked. "A new dog whistle. I broke the old one." He hurried off, and I recentered back to my paper-clipped page to reflect more on the wise woman's words. Mine's not as long as the other descriptions.
Yay.
But it's better. It's far more cohesive and makes sense.
Oh man.
Yeah.
These are wonderful. And at some point, it's so hard, but at some point, in a series of improv classes, we can kind of get to, they're all fine, they're all different, and they're all great. And we don't have to compare. But it's hard to do. And by the way, if they're not great, and if they're totally stinko, one of the, it's a huge improv learning. It was huge for me. I think it's huge for most of us, that we can say, "Oh, that sucked. Let's try another one." And give ourselves permission to fail. When we were performing, we always talked about, if you're going to fail big. You know, really, wow, that was really horrible. Let's try something else. So yeah, but none of these are all really interesting. One last, anybody else want to read one? And then we'll do this again. And if nobody, yes.
I wrote a poem.
Terrific.
Yeah, I really liked this exercise because it took my usual pressure of extreme distilled meaning to focus on the sounds that I was making, which I really liked. Wise woman at the back of the room, eating chunky peanut butter off of a silver spoon, tongue like turpentine in the sunlit room, garden for a brain, blessed by the light and rain, circumvented all that childhood pain, paper clips, tomatoes, oysters and potatoes, purple keychain, wooden stool, rocking back and forth at school, dog whistle, time to run, wise woman into the sun.
Oh.
Wow. Here's something that's really different about working with writers, that you interpret it as a poem and write an amazing poem, and people are putting it in the first person, which doesn't usually happen, and actually making it work, because yeah. Wow. I'm impressed. And shall we try this again? And then we'll do some cooperative. I think we're on for another half hour. I hope everybody can stay. I'd like to do one more of these, and then some round robin kind of group stories. Yeah? Okay. So,
hey, Karen.
yeah.
Sorry, this is Karen.
Oh, hi.
The session is technically only for an hour, but our next session doesn't start until 4 o'clock. So if you guys want to go a little bit longer, that's cool with me. I'll just have to stop you, like, maybe about 10 minutes before the hour, just so I can get queued up for our next one at 4. Is that good?
Sounds good to me. When I saw the agenda, I thought, oh, great, we have an hour and a half. So we have like 20 minutes. Well, you know what? How long did that take? I don't think it took that long. Let's do another one, and then we'll do a group one. Okay. So we'll start with pilot. And again, you accept that and you add to it. One to write off. Oh, and I would suggest, by the way, for this, I would suggest using the third person. Using the third person past tense. Tabasco. Yoga studio. Gold ring. Superman Pez. And pilot. And wrap it up, please. Okay. Anyone need more time? Apparently, okay. 10 seconds and find an ending, please. Okay, cool. Volunteer to read first, please. Yes.
The steamboat pilot ordered the anchor dropped and listened for the faint clankle-clankle of the chain running off its spool. It was uncommon to stop the steamboat so close to the bustling row of tourists, but the pilot was plenty pregnant and in a mood for Tabasco shrimp. She lowered a dinghy and then her round self into it and rowed over to the lively wharf. The pilot was stunned by what she saw. Where Po' Boy Jim's once sat was now a yoga studio, and a slew of pale, skinny women flowed out of what used to be her favorite joint, toting rolled up plastic mats instead of greasy bags of sandwiches. Where was she going to get her Tabasco shrimp? She reached into her pocket for something to tide her over and pulled out her Superman Pez dispenser. Better a little pure sugar than a grumpy steamboat pilot in search of hot sauce and seafood.
Amazing. Amazing. To be just mildly didactic. Yeah, well, there's no bad ideas. These are completely random words. And it's how you incorporate them. So, and also you never run short of ideas. Just give yourself a random prompt. Wonderful, thank you. Wow. And somebody else? That's hard to follow too. Yeah. But doesn't have to be good.
I'll go again.
Great.
Gordon was a pilot in his working years, but those days had long passed. He glanced over at his pilot uniform hanging in the back of his closet, as if he would pull it out again. A small Tabasco stain on the collar had discolored with age, now a soft brown, fading like the memories of his past. Now, the most action he was getting was going to the yoga studio on Wednesdays. The only homage to his prior profession was a commemorative ring given to him recognizing his tenure. Click, 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 his grandson came running into the room with his Superman Pez. Want a candy, Grandpa? He asked. The old man smiled, knowing his pilot years were over, but the new chapter would be just as meaningful. Yes, Tommy, I'd love a candy. That's it.
Another thing is what happens when you can't think ahead, right? It's not planned, and you accept that some random thing can come up, and you'll do something with it. You can't think ahead in improv or this. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am Nagwa. By the way, I joined very late. I didn't catch up what you were doing, but I figured that you are using just words and we are making up a story of these words. Isn't it so?
You figured
Okay.
right. And if we could see you on video, we would be happy.
It's okay like this. Actually, my native language is not English. My native language is Arabic, and I'm trying to figure it, writing in English. So I wrote a story, a short story. I hope that it's okay.
Great, please, go ahead.
Okay, so there was a very handsome pilot who doesn't like his job, so he wasn't happy, and he was trying to go to find another one. So one day he went to a yoga studio to learn about what they were doing. When he stepped into the studio, he found a golden ring, and he took it and went inside. And he asked about the owner of this ring, and he told him that she is a trainer who is having a session right now. He went to the session and attended the session, and he was very happy, and he thought that this is his passion. So he decided to be a yoga trainer, and he forgot about the ring. Then when he was walking home, he remembered the ring, and he went back to give the ring to the trainer. And when he found her, they talked together, and she invited him for dinner, and they agreed to meet again tomorrow. That's it. Is it that bad?
Yay! Can you see us?
Yes, thank you.
Yay! These are just blowing my mind. You guys are amazing. Obviously, you're writers. You know about stories, and this is just a little tiny nudge. Wow. So I'm going on about what I see. What have you noticed? What was this like, and how might you use something like this in your work?
Forces you to think quickly.
Yes.
Sometimes you have deadlines and you have to get it done,
Mm-hmm. Do you find that there's less judging going on then?
Well, I don't know about that. But you sometimes just gotta move on and do it in a timely manner, timely fashion. Right?
I think this last exercise is really useful when you're stuck in a rut, especially if you can access something like a random word generator online, and then hit a random word, write a couple sentences, generate another random word, just to get yourself flowing and get yourself back into the practice. And something earlier that you mentioned that I really liked was, you kind of said it offhand, but sorting out, an interesting way to sort out dialogue in fiction is to embody your two characters and go back and forth with yourself out loud to kind of get yourself into the rhythm of speaking. Because I think when you're writing dialogue, it's very easy to write very stiltedly, and makes so much more sense when you can say it out loud.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Other observations? Yes.
Super crazy small idea. I just thought of what if I had my remote control and my TV on mute, and I unmuted and heard a word and muted it again and wrote and did it again. That could be a random word generator.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Why not? There you go. Or just open any random book and whatever you get.
It's also really good when you do get that writer's block or that mental where you're down because you're not producing, that you take these totally unconnected words and actually can write something that it's a kind of an ego boost that, no matter what the circumstances, I can come up with a story. Why can't I write this?
Absolutely. Or no matter what the circumstances, I can do this. I can do this. Yes, I can do this too. Well, I think we've gone, I think we're out of time, unfortunately. And I just want to express, I am just marveling, and I feel really honored to have worked with you. I really got a kick out of what you did, and it was so, stirring and wonderful. And I hope that also that, yeah, that you got some ideas about how improv can affect your writing. Thank you. And you've inspired me to do something that I was kind of sort of vaguely thinking about doing, but I'm going to do it. And that is to offer a series of 6 or 8 workshops in improv for writers on Zoom. And I would be totally delighted if you would sign up. And I don't know whether they'll share your emails, or you can share your emails with me, or somehow I can get a hold of you. You can certainly get a hold of me. That's easy.
How do we do that?
I just put in my email. And if you want to put in your emails, can I get this thing afterwards? I don't know.
Yeah, Carole, I'll save the chat and send it over to you, so you'll have anyone who wants to contribute their email to Carole. It'll be in the chat, and I'll get it over to her.
Terrific, thanks. This time is so funny because it's in improv. I felt like it was a real handicap to do the Zoom thing because so much of improv is physical. You get ideas from physical offers that we make to each other. And so that's a bit of an impediment. On the other hand, we can get together so easily whenever we want. So I thank you so much for coming, and let's stay in touch. Any questions before we go?
Yeah, Carole, I would love to just hear why you think there aren't any men on this.
I think it's me. Every time I advertise a workshop, no matter what it is, writing, well, it's always writing, free writing, creative, something, improv, no men come. Except one time.
Who was offering it?
I don't understand that. I think, Karen, do you have a sense of the gender proportions for the whole conference even?
I think that we skew a little bit more heavily towards women. I know last year when we had the conference in person, I mean, you could just look at the room, and I would say it was probably about a little more than half women, maybe 2/3 or so.
A little more than?
Yeah, maybe 2/3. This particular session, like I think Janine noted all women, but other sessions have been more of a mix too. So not sure. Maybe women are just more expressively creative.
Interesting. Thank you.
We might be more receptive to ways to improve our writing than
I think that's true.
I bet we could come up with a lot of reasons.
Always searching to improve, and then just want to get published.
Right. And I think also women like group things. We're more likely to just know that we thrive in little group environments and get energy from that. But cool.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Carole. Really appreciate it. Thank you all who attended and participated and rolled with the technology and were creative and vocal, and it was wonderful. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
We have our next 4 o'clock sessions are coming up across all 3 tracks. This one, if you stay here, is Writing from Within. The next track is Tell My Story, Preserving the Memory of a Family Member. And track 3 is The Ever-Changing Role of the Book Critic. So we hope that you have time for at least one of those sessions, and that you'll stick around at our 2nd annual Lit Fest. Thank you.